Hello, I'm Karen, and in today's video I'm going to be sharing with you how to make these star charms key fobs for your key rings. Okay, I'm actually going to make it in the bigger version so you can actually see all of the stitches, because I'm doing it as a beginner's version so that I can try and teach you all of the different stitches. Ideally for the project that for a key ring, the smaller ones are beautiful, but I'm just doing this one just so that you can see what I'm doing so it's easier. Okay. I haven't put the keyring, the loop on this one, because I will share how to actually put that afterwards, because it's more important you get your star right before you actually add these on. Okay. So I'm going to be using an 8mm crochet hook today. I'm actually going to be using this it's called cozy wool yarn, which is actually 80% acrylic and 20% yarn. And so if you actually are making something that you know that's actually for a vegan friend, please make sure you use 100% acrylic or use a cotton, because they wouldn't like this because it's actually got an animal product in it. Okay, so you're going to need a pair of scissors for this project. You're going to need a darning needle and obviously the little loops and things. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to share how to actually make the star and see how you get on from there. Okay, so to begin this project, what you need to do is you need to make sure you've got a tail end of about 2 hooks long. So that's 1, 2, and then you can have a slip knot if you prefer, or you can I'd like to do the little twist to begin mine, so I'm beginning with a twist. And what we need to do is we need to make a chain of 2. So that's 1 and 2. So the first stitch we're going to use, I'm going to do this in English crochet terms, because this is actually for a friend of mine who's actually learned how to crochet in English terms. Okay, so we're going to skip the first chain and then we're going to work into the beginning chain. And we need to go underneath one loop. We're going to put our hook through, we're going to yarn over and pull through, so we've got 2 loops on our hook, and pull this, make sure you've got your tension nice, and then we're going to yarn over and pull through both of these loops, and that is a double crochet if you're in the UK. So we need to do 5 of these. So that's 1. I know it looks a bit weird right now, but don't worry about that. That's 1, under again, so you yarn over, pull through, so you've got 2 on your loop, yarn over and pull through those 2. That's 2 stitches, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through those 2 loops, so that's 3, yarn over, pull through. We have to bear with me as well, this yarn twists all the way through, so I've got 1, 2, 3. So this is my yarn over, pull through, this is my 4th stitch, and then back into that same loop, yarn over, pull through, and yarn over and pull through those 2 loops. So if you actually look at your work, you'll see you've got these like little V patterns, these little 8s, and you'll have the loop on your hook, and you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you've got this sort of little bumpy bit, which is where you did the beginning chain that you skipped. We're not going to work in there, we need to work into the very first stitch that we created. So we need to put our hook underneath the 2 strands, make sure I actually get the yarn end that I'm working with and not the tail end. Then I'm going to yarn over, pull through those 2 loops there and through this on here, so that is actually a single crochet, but it's often called a slip stitch. And I'm just going to just pull my tail end tight so it's nice and neat. So when you look at your work again, after you've done that last stitch there, you'll see you still have 5 of these V's. So you should have 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Okay, so if you try to work into this stitch where you've already worked, right, you'd be going at that angle. We don't want to do that. So we want to work into this next stitch along. We want to go under the 2 strands. We're still going to do the double crochet stitch, and we need to do 2 in each stitch until we've got 10. So go into there, yarn over, pull through, you've got 2 on your hook, yarn over and pull through them both. that's one stitch. Now we're going to do a second stitch in the same space. So now you're going to yarn over, pull through. You've got your 2 on your hook. Make sure you're pulling up your tension so it's easy to come through. Yarn over and pull through 2. So that's 2. Into the next stitch, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through the 2, yarn over, sorry, into the stitch, yarn over, pull through. So we've got 2 in that one, so that's 4. I'm sorry, my yarn's really twisty. 4, 5, 6, so in, yarn over, pull through 2. That's 7 in the same space, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. That's 8, and then one more stitch to go in, which we're doing 2 more stitches, so that's 9 and 10. Okay, this is just to make sure, look at the V's, these are your stitches. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10. And what we're going to do is we're going to do, it's referred to as a slip stitch an awful lot, but it's actually a single crochet in the UK. So we put a hook through, yarn over, pull through those 2, and then keep on pulling through that one as well. So we've actually, now we'll end up with 10. So we've got that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10. Now we're going to actually learn how to do our next stitches. So we're actually going to make a chain of 5 to start off with. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Now when you look at your work, you'll have your loop on your hook, and this one here right next to it, that's first V, that's your first chain from your hook. We're going to work in the second chain, and we want to go underneath one strand. Make sure you do one strand all the time for this, otherwise your project won't work. So we need to go underneath that one strand. We're going to do the single crochet again, so that's all the slip stitch. So we're going to yarn over, pull through that chain, then get hold of the work here and pull through the loop that you've got on your hook. Then we're going to do, the next stitch is going to do the double crochet that we was doing there. So we're going to go underneath that one loop, yarn over, pull through. We've got 2 on our hook, pinching hold of your work there, yarn over, and then pull through those 2 loops. So that was the double crochet. Now we're going to do a yarn over into the underneath this one chain there, yarn over again, pull through. So we have 3 stitches on the hook, pull it down, yarn over, and then pull through. You want to pull through all 3, but you might find you come through 2 like when you're doing your treble crochet, and then continue to do the 3rd. And then the next one we're going to do a treble crochet, so we yarn over underneath one loop, yarn over, pull through, pulling my tension down, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2. Okay, and so we can see this is the bit where we've worked in, and this is our next stitch. We're going to skip this stitch, and this one here we're going to go underneath 2 loops this time, and we're going to do the single crochet. I say it's often referred to as a slip stitch as well. So we yarn over, pulling it through there and then through that loop that's on the hook, and there you've made your first point on your star. So we'll do it again. 1, 2, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, I'm just getting myself some more yarn to it, just makes it easier. Looking at my chain, we skip the first chain, we're going to the second chain, underneath one loop we're going to do the single crochet. So we're going to yarn over, pull through there and pull through there. Okay, so remember that's the single crochet in the UK. which would actually is often referred to as a slip stitch. Into the net underneath the next chain, we're going to be working the double crochet. So we yarn over, pull through. We've got 2 loops on our hook, yarn over and pull through them both. In the next chain, we want to make a half treble, so we need to yarn over, go underneath that one chain, push your hook all the way through so that you're not like working right on the end, otherwise it makes it really tight stitches. Catch hold of your yarn, pull it through, so you've got 3, and then you yarn over. You want to pull through all 3, but like I said, it's because sometimes it's easier to come through the 2 and then wiggle through the last one. But through the 3, and then the last stitch is going to be the treble, so we yarn over underneath that one loop, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Same as last time, we're going to skip this stitch and we're going to work underneath the 2 strands this time, put it through. We're doing the say it's referred to as a slip stitch, but it's a single crochet in UK. Okay, and we'll do it again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then skip the first chain. Underneath one strand, we're doing the single crochet, so it's through there and through there. To the second one, we're going up our sizes in our stitches, so we yarn over, and then we're going to yarn over and pull through 2. Now we're going to yarn over into the next stitch, yarn over, pull through. We've got our 3 on our hook, and this is the half treble, so we're going to go all the way through 3. We might have to do a little wiggle to get there. I've split my yarn a bit, so I'm going to just come through those 2 and then do that one, and then yarn over and do into the chain, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Skip one stitch, and then we're going to slip stitch or single crochet into there. So we've got 3 points. I'm going to speed up a little bit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Remember, we're doing the first stitch, which is our smallest stitch, so we're coming all the way through, so that's our single crochet. Then we're going to do the double crochet, yarn over into the next chain underneath one strand, but this is the half, so we're going to go all the way through, the yarn over into the last one, yarn over, pull through 2, pull through 2. Oopsie daisy, say it. And then we skip this stitch, go underneath the 2 strands this time, yarn over, pull through our work, pinch hold of our work and pull through there, and one more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Skip that first chain, underneath one strand, yarn over, pull through all the way through to the next one, into the work, yarn over, pull through. Got 2 on our hook, yarn over, pull through those 2. The next one, we yarn over into the chain underneath one strand, yarn over, pull back. Now we're going to try and pull through all 3 loops, and then we're going to yarn over into the last chain there, yarn over, pull through 2 and pull through 2. And then we've got 2 stitches left. We skip that one and we slip stitch into this one here. Okay, and that is your star. You've completed your star, and it does curl up a little bit, but that's perfectly fine. So what I'm going to do is just going to put this to one side for a minute, because ideally what we want to do is we want to join 2 stars together. Now I know that for this kind of project it may be a little bit difficult for you to do that on your first ever go. So what I'm doing is this was a piece that I've already begun to work on. I'm going to show you where we're going to work so that you can understand what we're doing with the stitches. So as you look at your work, you can see we've got these little loops that are coming over here, and then if you look, this one is coming right over the top, so that's the point of your star. You need to go 1, 2, 3, and here look, this one which is right next to your work, that's the 4th one. And what we want to do for our project, because I'm just going to, if we were joining 2 together we'd still do this, but I want to show you on 1 so it's easier. So you're going to go come through that loop there, and we're just going to do the single crochet or slip stitch, yeah, and we would just work it like this. And so you're going to be coming through that loop there and you'd be pulling it through. Okay, I'm just going to get up to the top to show you, because the tops of the this side of our stitching is different. If you look, this has got 2 loops on it and this has just got this like little twisted bit. So I'm just going to come underneath that one there. The top of the star always has 1 loop right directly on the top, so that is your 5th stitch up, and so that's always going to happen. Okay, now when you actually look at this coming down, you'll see that you've got the 2 loops, which is actually the top of a stitch. We're going to work in the back loop, so the back loop is the stitch that's furthest away from you, and this loop is the closest to you. And so we'd work in these back loops all the way down. I'm just going to show you what it looks like if you just come underneath. Okay, and then when you get to this middle point here, we're going to go underneath the back loops. So what I'm going to do now is just put that back to one side. This is one that I finished previously. I've cut the tail end off. You need to remember the tail end for our project, it needs to be at least 2 hooks long. So once we've cut off the end, this is my loop, I'm just going to pull this through. So that would be how you finish, and then you get your hook underneath those 2 loops there. I need to show you how the whole project looks when it's finished. I just wanted you to be able to, if you practice doing slip stitching around the edge of your star, it just helps you so that you're ready to be able to do the joining of 2 pieces. So that's one star. This is the star that we just finished. Okay, so when we're going to be joining them together, we need to do something slightly different. So I've shown you that we've got this stitch here, but we're going to join together. So where we've done our slip stitch through, we've got these 2 strands. We want, where the tail end I've tucked it through, want to come underneath that back loop there. You need to keep your yarn to the right hand side of your hook to do this, otherwise it doesn't work properly. And then you get the star that you already finished, where the tail end's coming through, and in exactly the same place you need to go into the back of that loop there. Okay, and then you're going to pull through there, then you're going to pull through your actual star there and through that chain that's on your hook. That's why I said if you practice going all the way around first before you actually start trying to join 2 together, unless of course you're really confident that you can do that, then feel free to get on with it. So now you remember that this little one is really tiny. You may find it easier to count down, but remember the one that's right at the very, very top is the top of your star. Okay, so that would be like the 5th stitch if I was going the other way. So I'm going to count down. So I was 1, 2, 3, 4, and this one here that's sort of hiding, I want to go underneath that one. If I show you from the back as well so you can see, oops, you need to come underneath 1 strand, and then you look at the same, you want to put that same stitch on your 2nd piece, which is just here. So you'd actually come through there, and then you're going to actually do this single crochet or slip stitching. At this moment in time you're sort of a bit wonky, they don't match up or anything. Don't worry, because as long as you've done all your stitches the correct stitch for each part of your star, they will match up when you get to the end. Okay, so the next loop along, which I've already done once, that's 1. I'm going to go underneath this one, just 1 loop and just 1 loop at the back. because you can see where I've already worked underneath that loop, so I'm just going to come through here. Yeah, so that's stitch number 2, and then underneath one loop there, underneath one loop there, yarn over, pull through those 2, so I've joined them together, and then twist yourself and pull through that last one, and then underneath this one loop here, underneath that one loop there, yarn over, pull through those 2 first and then through that one. Remember, the top of your star, you've always got, I know you've got this like one loop there, but it's always the one that's actually right at the very top. So you need to go underneath that loop, match it up with the back star, and then come through. And now remember, I was saying to work in the back loops of these. So because now you've joined that first part of your star, it's easier to marry everything up. Okay, so you can see that those loops fall really nicely together. So you go through the front star, through the back star, yarn over, pull through your stars and pull through the loop that's on your hook. And we're going to just keep on doing the same thing all the way around our star. Okay, so, and if you want to count as you're coming up and down, so that would be, I've already done 2 stitches, so this will be number 3, and then this would be number 4. Now when you get to the middle point, the middle bit of your stars, I always separate my stars, it makes it easier, because I want to come through the back loop of this one, because that stitch tends to be a bit tighter, and through the back loop of that one, because that's got 2 loops on it. Okay, and then we've got this stitch here, this one that's like kind of hidden. I want to go into that one, and the same at the back star. So now we're going to start going up our side of the star, so that's 1, and then underneath that one, underneath that one. So oops, that's 2, and then into this one, into that one there, pull through, so that's 3, and then we've got through that one, through that one, and that's 4, and then we're into the point of the star. Remember, it's that loop over the top, and the same at the back. Look for the loop that's going over the top. So I'm just making sure I'm not splitting that. I can see it's splitting there. So the point of the star is stitch number 5, and then we do this next loop along and this next loop there, and we're coming back down the arm of the star, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then my 5th stitch is going to be in this centre piece. So remember, I've got 2 strands there, so I want to come underneath the back loop of that one. Look at my back star, I want to come underneath the back loop of that one, and that'll be my 5th stitch going down. And now I want to go back up, so we've got to find this one here and here, so that's 1, underneath that one, and that one is 2, underneath that one, and that's 3, and then the next one along is 4, and then the top of the star again will be stitch number 5. And you see now how that's flattening it all out, and now the rest of it's still all curly. So now we're going to come back down, you've got to be careful as well, really be careful not to split your yarn, because if you split your yarn, if you do anything wrong and you want to undo it, it's really difficult to undo yarn that's been crocheted when you've split your yarn. Okay, so we're going to come back down the point of the star, sorry, the arm of the star, if that's what you want. I don't even know what you call that really, but I was thinking of like a little starfish, so would there be arms? And then we're back to this point again, so we want to go into the back loop of that one and the back loop of this one, pull it all the way through, and we've got this little one here that's always a bit, the first one is always the hardest one because it's more hidden. The rest of them are easy once you've done that. So that's one underneath there, and there is two, and this one is three. So even as I'm going up, look, they don't look like they're matching because they look wonky. But as you can see, when you've done it, it does all fit nicely. So that's number 4. And then the very top loop that's going over everything is the point of the star, which is stitch number 5. Now we're going to this loop here and that loop there. We're coming back down. So that's 1. And if you pinch your work together, these are just so easy because they just sit in line. 2. Oh, I've split the yarn there, look. 3, 4, and then, oops, get my tail end again, and then the back loops of these here and here, and then we're on our last point. So we've got the hidden ones, well, they're not really hidden, they're just really tucked in neatly. And there, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Whoops. Now this is the last point of the star, so what we're going to do is just going to go underneath that one loop there and underneath that one loop there, pull my yarn through, but I'm just going to pull my tail end up a minute. Okay, because if you turn over your work, you can see we've got 2 pieces that are coming out of the back of the work, but this one here is sort of coming from in the middle of our work because that's the tail end from there. So if I just show you, it's easier to show you on this star here. Yeah, we've got these gaps where our points are, but while it's all joining together, it's a bit harder to see. So put your hook into there because you've got like a little pouch. Put your hook all the way through and make sure it's the tail end that you're pulling through that you there, and then yarn, wrap it around your hook, and then pull that through there just so it's out of your way while we continue working, because we are going to use all of these tail ends. So now we just need to complete this star by coming down here. So that's 1 and 2, 3 and 4. Now when you get right to the very end, depending on how your stitches have gone, this realistically is the very beginning stitch it was doing slip stitching in, but this stitch is more in the center and it's got like a little bit of a loop sticking up. So if you come underneath there of your front star, and then you want to push your hook in so you've actually gone into the pouch of your actual star, and then you just make sure that you've just got one loop there over your hook, and then yarn over and pull through everything. Now at this point I can pull that through there, take my hook out, and then because I've already got my other tail ends that are already roughly the same length, this is the one that I'm actually working with, so I'm just going to cut that off, move that out of the way. Okay, I can see that I've got a bit of a sun coming over there, so I'm just going to just shade that off. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to pull this tail end through. That was our end of our work. Now when you actually do this on the smaller version, it can be a lot easier when you come to the final part, because you've actually got you can actually thread all 3 tail ends. But so I'm going to show you that in a minute, but I'm going to show you how to get, so what you need to do is, this is the one that you've finished with. So you always start with this tail end, and you want to go all the way up to this point, right direct opposite. So when you're actually doing it on the smaller one, you can actually, your hook will go all the way through, your needle will go all the way through. But because I'm doing it on a bigger one, I can only get so far, and I want to make sure that I've not come out the other side. So I'm wiggling it through, and I'm just going to come through here in my little pouch there, so I'm not splitting any yarn. And then we pull that tail end, so that's nice and tight in there, so that neatens up that end. And then I'm going to go into my pouch, wiggle my needle to make sure it's not, I don't want to come through there. And then if you look at the very top of your star, you can see where your stitches are all going in, and that is where you want the needle to come through, because that's the very tip of your star. So you pull your tail ends all the way through, and you want to do this with 3 of your tail ends, and I'll show you why as we go along. But this is the one that we already pushed through there, and so that goes, I want to come out in the same place there. And when we turn over, we've got 2 left at the back. The one right in the middle, we're leaving that one there. It's the one that's towards the bottom. You want to thread that onto your needle and push that through there. It's the same thing again, because I'm going into my work. Even though you can't see them, we've still got these little pouchy bits, so I'm just going to just get my needle to come through there first. And then I'm going to work my way through, make sure it's wiggling so I've not caught anything, and I'm going to come through the same place. Oops, caught it there. Okay, so I'm just going to take my needle off there now for a minute. So we end up with 1 tail end right in the middle, and we've got the 3 coming out the point of the star. At this point you're going to need a weight of some sort. I've actually got a tin of pineapple, but you can use a jar of jam or whatever. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put that, so that's on my actual star, so it's weighting it. Okay, I'm just going to leave it there so you can see what I'm doing. And then, oh hang on, before we do that, I need to tell you, make sure once you've got these tail ends through that you've pulled your star, because sometimes you can pull these through and it scrunches up your star, and so it ruins it. So you need to make sure you've pulled all your points of your star so that they're all looking the same length. And then I'm going to just put that there, put your weight on it to hold it still. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to plait these 3 strands to be able to make the actual loop for you to be able to thread the keyring thing on. So this, but as you're actually doing your plait, you need to keep your plait nice and tight. Just try and keep it so it's even, just like you would when you was doing your hair or something, just because you want it nice and neat. And then you plait this. Now I've found for this project, if you actually use it's my 4mm crochet hook, what I did is to make sure that these was all the same length for each of my for each of the stars, so they're roughly the same size. You plait until you get to where that dip is there, the top dip. So it's not quite enough yet, so do it a little bit more. It doesn't matter if you go a little bit longer or a little bit smaller, it's just that I like my things to be equally balanced. So now it's roughly there. So now I've got this piece here, I'm holding this piece tight, this is the piece that I would then be working with. So I wrap that over and I tie that into a knot. Just be gentle when you pull that, because if you pull it too tight initially you can scrunch up all of your plait. And then get these two ends and then tie those also into a knot. Okay, so you've actually got a knot that looks like that. Now you'll end up with your star that looks like this. Okay, now for me to do the next bit, I have to do all of these three individually. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just move over and get the star that I was making, a smaller one, to show you how I've already plaited the chain work. I've got my tail end sticking out of the middle, and it's just some, this is just so it's easier. So when you're doing it on a smaller project, you can actually thread all three onto your needle at the same time, like this. She says, making it complicated. So you've got all those three, and then what you do is when you look at the back of your work, so I'm just going to show you on the back of this one, because I'd have to do them all individually. You've got this hole right just there, that's where you want to go with that stitch there, because see, even on a smaller scale that hole is still there. You put that through, and what you want to do is you want to get your tail ends all to come out in that very middle point there. So this middle point here, that's where you want them all to come out. So that's the one that was on the middle already. These are my three. And as you actually, I like to put my finger inside the actual loop there just to make sure, and then I'm going to pull this through just to that point there, and then I want all these tail ends, I want them to come through, but I don't want to scrunch up that start, so I need to find out which bits are going to be. So that's pulling that part, so these three would be pulling this side. I'm making it look far more complicated than it really is. There we go, and take that off for now. And now you need to make sure you start, you pull that point back again, and where you've done your little knot, you want your little knot to go inside your work, so it's inside. You can pull it down a little bit further, make sure that's all nice and neat, and make sure you've got your tension for that. Yeah, and this is the point, this is the one that was already joined to the actual star already. So I'm going to hold that one, and then each one of these tail ends individually, you want to tie that into a really nice tight knot. Okay, so that's 1, 2 and 3. You need to make sure, I'll say now, as I pulled that one, it started to pull that work. I could see that that was pulling that. So what I'm going to do is just make sure that that one is going to stay really secure. I'm going to tie it over here as well, so it's not pulling any of this, because I made one earlier, look, I'm going to show you. I did everything, and when I pulled it, some of my tail ends came through, so that one was just ruined after all of my work. So I want you to try and avoid doing that, because you want this tail end not to come out and to cause that to happen. So then what you do is you just get 2 tail ends at a time. I know these tail ends are really long on this one. It was because I was actually trying to do something else as well and it failed, so please excuse that. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my work where I've got, you can go through one of your little stitches somewhere. You can, as long as you're going to hide it, you go into your work, and then where you have this, where I showed you on these ones, you've got like this little pouchy bit. You want to come out of there with those 2 tail ends, and which is the ones that need to come out. That's that, so that's that. Make sure that you've got all your loops in, so that's nice and neat there. And then, oops, I'm going to cut these bits off right next to there, and then they'll tuck inside, so you've not got any tail ends sticking out. and then we're going to do exactly the same with the other side. So we've got our 2 tail ends tucked into there, and then we're going to come into our work, come out through the little pouchy bit there. So our tail ends are all tucked in all nice and neat, and cut that off. Okay, and so this one's all done on a 4mm crochet hook, by the way. This one's obviously done on the 8, so we've got like the difference of sizes, and this is chunky yarn. But I wanted to share with you as well that if you do all of this and you're satisfied that your tail end's not going to cause that split thing to happen, that is your perfect star for you to then be able to add your loop. So if you actually get your needle and hold that so it's inside your actual loop, and then really tightly push your work against the actual loop itself, and then what you can do is you just keep hold of your work, hold of your needle, and twizzle all the way through, and this will stop your yarn from splitting while you're attaching it to the actual ring. Okay, so there you go. I know it took a long time to do this because obviously I was trying to do it as slowly as possible for a beginner's thing, so hopefully you're going to be able to do this. So I shall be messaging you at work, Becky, complete with all the instructions to go with this, so that you can actually have a go at this, because we've got a little mission to do. So this is why this video is currently private, and if everything goes to plan, I will publish it, because then I'll be able to say, yay, we were successful. And if I don't ever publish it, then we failed. But I think I will be able to publish it. So thank you for watching, thank you for liking, thank you for sharing, thank you for subscribing, and as always, bye for now.